Now
right.
you on my glasses.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That's wild.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of What the Hell You Got Going On. I'm watching on my laptop. Hold on, it's going crazy.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're getting started.
we're just testing here. Stuff that what your screen look like, Dave?
So I got us on there. Looks like we're kind of flipped, but doesn't really matter.
All right, let's see if I can. This is a learning curve, everybody. So we're
Yeah.
trying to get this. We're trying to get this dialed in. This is only episode 2, so bear with us. Um,
Uh, well,
hold on. Yeah, mine is like in a fritz. I don't know what's going on. I can't. Well, at least I can see the live chat, so that's all that matters to me. All right. Welcome to episode 2 of What the Hell You Got Going On. And what we do here is we talk 3800 LS4 W body shenanigans, and we have a good time doing it. So in today's episode, we're gonna have a what you call subscriber community conversation, 15-minute increments. We're gonna do 4 of those a day, and then we got 4 topics we want to talk about, which is how to do good mods at good prices, cheapest sources of things, where to not go cheap on building a 3800 or whatever, and places to shop around and research before deciding to purchase. So, starting off, me and Dave are going to talk about what the hell we got going on for the past week. So, we're going to go ahead and start with you, Dave. So, what the hell you got going on?
all right. For me, I just finished buttoning up this Regal I was working on, doing a VS cam swap. So I got all that done, I think, when we came on last week. And then I just took my time because there was a lot of maintenance, little things here and there, transmission lines I had to run around town and go get the right ones. And I got all that sealed up. And then I also almost totally nuked my rear wheel drive car plans this week. So there, if somebody sees the nice turbo Fiero that was out there for sale out in Pennsylvania, I happened to be on scrolling through the marketplace and saw it, and he's got some good parts on there, and it was tempting. Like, I talked to him about possible trade deals with the GTO at first, but then I said, nah, I've got too much invested, not only like just financially, but I've already like mentally kind of started thinking about how I want to enjoy that build. So if somebody wants kind of a good build, I'll just give him a shout out. Just go on the 3800 marketplace. You'll see that white Fiero with a big turbo build with a 4T60 and all that stuff. So basically, I'm going to keep what I got going on. But yeah, so I'm done with this Regal build. I'm literally just plugging in the injectors and the wiring harness right now. And then I'm going to start putting fluids in it and fire it up and just make sure the tune is halfway decent on it. And then we'll dial it in for the summer season. So he's going to be super happy about that because I need to get Bad Grandpa in here. I've got 3 weeks basically to get it ready to come see you. It doesn't need that much work, but the work it does need is going to take some time and attention for me to do that fuel system. So I'll be getting that in here and getting it ready. But other than that, just cruising in the GXP. That's my daily driver again. I enjoy it. It's a fun car to drive around.
Sounds good, Mr. Dave. So, the hell I got going on? My God. So, I hope y'all guys been enjoying the last week of shenanigans. I was able to give you guys a perspective of where the builds stand right now until they're perfected. I know Sindel is 100% dialed. That car is just, it pisses me off because it runs so damn good. Ran it against the pill machine, so I know where the pill machine stands against a good modified M90 car. And Hellboy is doing good. It's just it needs fuel added on the big end. and some timing, and then that car should be where it needs to be. The pill machine, me and Dave think we got things figured out. We ran out of injector. I looked more into it on my own time because Dave was in the middle of doing his thing, so I was doing some scannings and checking things out, and decided to go with bigger injectors. So I got a set of 1,000 cc's coming for that. We got a little experiment we're gonna do with the fuel log setup, because originally the feed was hitting the wastegate, and I switched that out, but I had the fuel pressure sensor before it goes into the log. So now we got it going into the crossover pipe so we can monitor the PSI at wide open throttle. That's actually in the fuel log. So see what's going on with that. And then if all else fail, we have a plan B, how we're going to reroute the fuel lines on that. But it's a non-returnless system, so it's not boost reference. So returnless, whatever it's commanded to do under wide open throttle, that's what it's going to do. And that car does anywhere from 58 to 63. So there's not really a lot of headroom with the non-returnless as it is with the return. Because with the return, you can adjust the fuel pressure and it's boost reference rather than non-returnless. It's not, which later down the road will be upgraded to return. But for now, we're just going to just make do with what we can do with it. And I think with the thousands, we might be all right. But we just got to do a little testing, a little fadangling, and I think we'll get it. Should be able to run a good amount of boost with it too. But got to have that car and Hellboy dialed before May 3rd, because that's when all the shenanigans happen for the dyno. So your boy's been stressing out because it's getting close to crunch time, and I just hope that everything works out. So I can only hope for the best. But that's the update, and I'm just keep pushing on.
Yeah, and to give people a little bit of detail on what we're doing. So basically, he's moving his fuel pressure sender from the feed line on its way into the entire system to the dead center of the system, basically in between all the fuel injectors. That way, without making any other changes right now, we will now make sure that nothing in his fuel rail setup is a restriction. Because if it is, we'll reroute everything and put some better flowing fittings if necessary. If not, then we know we just got to deal with the pressure we got and work it from there.
Yep. And like I always say, y'all, it's going to be a nice lengthy podcast. Be about probably a 2-hour podcast, but make sure you grab your snacks. I got my skinny pop. Shout out to the wife. She watching. She always get
I made a snack run just a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, this was about, man. It's car talk. It's relaxed talk. We having a good time doing it. You know, chill, vibing, get your drink on, whatever you got to do.
Yeah. So, you want to just get into some chat topics then?
Yeah. Let's start out with Mr. Jason Stewart. If you're on, I think I sent you the. I gotta add you.
The link.
Yeah, gotta see how to do this. There he goes. I think. Wait.
I think you just got into the nuclear forest there.
Oh my God! Over here doing all types of shenanigans.
Oh, these buttons have got lots of options.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to have some fun, do one of these things and see how it goes. It's ridiculous. You could turn into an anime streamer in 5 minutes if you get crazy with it.
Hell yeah. Oh man, I'm trying to. I don't know if we can add another person in here. Oh, dude, that sucks.
Hey man, I'll bow out if you gotta interview somebody. I'll shoot comments or something.
Yeah, shoot comments. And once we get the okay, so how we'll do this. Remember, this is just trial and error, everybody. So just give us a break. All right, so we can only do 2 people on the live. So Dave's gonna come out. I'm gonna interview Jason, and then I'll bring Dave in, and we'll chat a quick second again, and then we'll bring somebody else on. So yeah, we're about to do this now.
Yep.
All right, Dave.
All right, I'm dipping out
All right.
as soon as I find the button.
All right.
All right.
All right.
I'll be in the chat.
All right, man. Okay, so now we're gonna add Mr. Jason Stewart. All right, Jason, go ahead and try to link on in. Sorry, I'll be more prepared next time. Okay, here comes Jason. Mr. Stewart, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Just here, let me mute my laptop.
So I met you I want to say around, I think it was 2016, 2017, at the W Body meet. And
Yeah, when we had the Dino Days.
yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what the hell you got going on.
Well, I live out here in North Dakota. I first got into I bought my pace car in 2004. I know initially that was back when they had the forums, and I sat and followed the forums all the time, just because I knew, although the car only had 22,000 miles on it, I knew I wanted to add more power, whether it went with a supercharger or a turbo, which I always leaned towards the turbo aspect. And I just watched on the forums as far as stuff coming up for sale, parts, trying to save $1, and also I'd see a lot of posts where people would have issues.
Yeah.
So I would watch to see what they did wrong or had issues. So that when I went to go do mine, I could eliminate a lot of those problems from the beginning. But yeah, that didn't work out so well last year.
Well, so explain, like, what do you think the cause of what happened on the new turbo build you just did?
Well, looking into it, I haven't pulled the heads off yet, but something happened with the valve train, either the keepers or the valve spring on number 6 cylinder on the intake broke. So then I ended up dropping a valve and smashing the heck out of the piston. So that motor is done for.
And that's the type of stuff right there to make people like don't want to try to keep going. But it's like if you feel dedicated to a vehicle and you got the dedication to your build, you just keep pushing. And which I know that you're still gonna try to get it back together. You got a plan B. So
Yeah. When it initially happened, I thought I'd be a little more upset, or because I just put everything back together, didn't even have 40 miles on it. But when it happened, I was like, oh well, I guess time to start over. But I've already purchased 2007 Grand Prix with the L32, so I'm gonna pull the whole motor out of that, and that one has 136,000 miles on it. I bought the whole car for $350. So
yeah. So you got a good plan, and yeah, L32s is by far one of the strongest 3800s stock form wise. Especially for turbo cars, it's like the best block you can get. I unfortunately running an L26, but I'm gonna send it. We're gonna see what I can handle with it. But I wish I could take my wife's car because she got the L32 in her car, and that motor is just ridiculous. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you getting everything together, and I'm always here to help if you run into any shenanigans or whatever. And I mean, that's really what this community is all about, helping each other out, making sure to see everybody wins. And yeah, and plus you also got the Holden monster, twin turbo
Oh
GTO.
yeah.
So you want to tell us about that?
Oh yeah, it's 2004 GTO Barbados Blue. Um, Originally it was a factory 6-speed, but now nothing in the drive line anymore came out of a GTO. The motor is a 441 cubic inch LSX, which, if you're not sure, that's the iron block, the race version of the LS7. It has a twin turbo, liquid cooled 67 millimeter Garrett turbos on it right now. 20 pounds of boost, putting down about 1,200 to the rear wheels. But that's going get upgraded. Already have a new hot side kit for it. I want to increase. I'll go to a larger turbo. I'm going twin 73 millimeter turbos.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm just going to keep as far as the power level, 1,400. But that car runs on E85 and still full stock interior, air conditioning, stereo, power steering. And it'll stay that way. It's just going to be a really fast street car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a good time for sure. Good time. What size turbo do you have on your Grand Prix?
Or the one that was on it, it's kind of a hybrid, the T3 T4 turbo, but that was a 68 millimeter turbo. And I'll be going with the same size when I put it back on. Don't buy a new one.
Nice. And you got a what turbo kit you got on that car?
That's the ZZP Statamont turbo kit.
Mm-hmm.
That's on it. All 3-inch exhaust out the back. It had a intense stage 3 heads, and I had an intense stage 4 turbo cam in it when it went to heck last fall. So from the way it looks, I did not bend a push rod in it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it failed on the highway, I shut the car off immediately. So I'm hoping the cam is still good. And until I tear it apart, I won't know how much damage there is to the head.
I know JPL, which he'll be on the live here today. So he found a shop out by him. I think it's called Bulldog Performance or whatever, and they port our heads, and they charge like $500 to do all the work to our heads. So we have hope on getting ported heads. I actually got a brand new set of heads. They're stock, but they're never been used. So I'm gonna get those done for spares because you never know. But I really hate that intense shutdown, man. Like, I'm a huge fan of their cams. I got experience with on the blower side, I could say, on all of them, and I by far am the biggest fan of the IS4 cam. And street wise, I'm a big fan of the S1X cam. Like that cam is just, man. But yeah. So is anything else you want to touch base on before we end the chat? Because we gotta talk to.
I don't want not too much. Just kind of people that are. You see it in like a lot of the on Facebook now. People always saying, "Well, hey, I just got a Grand Prix. I want to add more power." And then they want to add a supercharger or a turbo. Then they go buy it, and then, well, what size injectors do I need?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets stated, but it's like I did with mine. I sat and I watched and I read forums and I researched online, as far as other people that did it, what size fuel injector, what spark plug, what gap to run. There's a lot of information out there. Just do a lot of research before you even start. So when you go to buy it, you can buy it all at one time, get it installed, because then you know exactly what you're putting in. And these forums and stuff like that and Facebook pages, when people have issues, they'll post it on there saying, "Oh, this happened, and this is why it happened," so that you cannot make the same mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Dave
best advice
asked
I can give out to anyone to do.
Dave asked you, are you thinking about Big Sky Race Week in June out in Michigan or MT? I don't know what that looks. He said it looks fun.
Oh, Montana? Probably not. I know I got some projects around the house here I got to work on. I want to get my Grand Prix back on the road. I know I got to get some work done on the DPO. I got to replace the wire harness inside my transmission. And I'm hoping to go to Indianapolis Labor Day weekend for that Holden gathering they have out there. I know they're having that Friday. They're having drag races that Friday, so I'm hoping to have my GTO out there for that. But yeah, no,
good, man.
Some of those larger car meets and get-togethers like the ice cream cruise. It'd be nice to get the GTO out there and lay down get some numbers at the track.
Yeah. Well, is there anything you want to say to the people before we get to the next subscriber?
No, just keep. Myself, I watch all your videos, and keep try to see how things are going for you, and offer advice if I need it. If you have a question or anything, don't hesitate to message someone and ask for help or get some advice. That's how we all get through this and work together as a community. And
yeah, don't be like, even to this day, I ask questions. I don't know everything. I'm not gonna have a pride of asking for help if it's something I don't know, because I would rather do it right the first time than turn around and do it 3-4 more times when I could have just, put my pride aside and ask somebody for some help. So, and that's good advice to give a lot of people, is don't let your pride get the best of you.
Oh yeah, we've asked each other questions, last year on what we're doing, or if I saw something you were doing, I'd be like, make sure you check this.
Yeah.
Just like the electrical plug-in on the transmission, put a little heat protection on there, otherwise you'll melt it.
Yep.
I see burn marks on mine, so.
Yep. Always go the extra mile. Don't skip a beat. All right. Well, thanks for joining the live, Jason. And we appreciate what you do for the community, and good luck to your new goals and your bills. And I'll be watching, buddy.
Oh yeah, I'll be posting up some videos.
All right, man.
So,
all right. Take care.
All right, sir. Yep.
All right. So that was Jason, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your chat. All right, so
for a few and going to go outside and smoke after everyone gets done greeting each other.
All right, can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I don't know what happened with the live. I added Dave. All right.
John JPL. They sent one photo.
Okay. All right, here comes Dave, everybody. All right, Mr. Dave. Yeah, so when I send invites, everybody, the live don't leave the live. It might cut out because I'm trying to send the invites to get people back into the chat. So I apologize. Like I said, this is a learning curve. it's gonna get better. So, yeah, man. Jason got a lot going on, man, and
Yeah. I think you got to mute your stuff.
oh, you can hear the.
I can hear the playback. Yeah.
All right, John. If you text it, don't text my phone because it's gonna text me.
Yeah, he's got some nice builds. It sounds like. Hopefully, he can get down here for ice cream cruise in outside Omaha. It's a fun time. 1320 puts on a huge show. I mean, it's my favorite hat right now from last year. So, yeah, like thousands of cars. You can just go to the Saturday car show if you want. They've got a burnout pit they just built. Now that that's getting popular with like Cletus and all them doing burnout stuff in the States, just like they do in Australia. Well, just like they do. There was some Aussies up here. So yeah, huge event. They got roll racing, which I'll try and figure out if I can get set up to do both drags and roll, but you kind of got to pick one because you get real busy and the weekend is only this long. So yeah, we could probably try and put a shout out and try and do like a 3800 meetup, either to get ready to leave for the event that morning or something. We'll figure it out. We got months. Thankfully, they put it after the heat of the summer and moved it to September. So it'll be a good time.
Yep. I'm hoping I can make some events. I can't promise anything. I just have to see how things go because I got some stuff I need to take care of at my house and family things, adulting. But I really want to try to make a streetcar takeover. But we'll just have to see what happens. Wish for the best. So all right, Dave, let's touch on one topic and then we'll get another person on. So let's talk about how to do good mods at good prices. So what would be yours, and then I'll talk about mine.
Yeah, so I would say if you're gonna do your first start mods, it would probably be, you could follow kind of the formula where you're gonna do like an intake, which you can shop around. Be sure you're checking out like Facebook Marketplace, forum classifieds, things like that, because you're going to be able to find a deal. You're going to be able to find somebody that's just getting rid of something. That's how I've gotten intakes for my GXP or previous cars. You just find something that's not, it's just like buying a car. Like you shouldn't have to pay full price if you're not buying something brand new and it's still going to work for you. After that, it would be best to try and see what you can get at a junkyard. Honestly, going to a junkyard is the hack. You're going to get north there. I could go down. I should make a list of like every part you could get at a junkyard that's either a good replacement or a good mod or upgrade. Because there's tons of them there. You got upgraded suspension parts from the higher trim W bodies or the Police Impalas. You've got North Star throttle bodies. You've got HD upgrades for your transmission if you want to find an HD car from a L67 or LS4 car that happens to be in the junkyard. You've got stuff off of LS trucks that you might want to use. You've got all sorts of options. So being able to spend the least amount of money, and this is my like specialty for my college years. There was a reason I was able to build like a 12-second Grand Prix on like minimal money with just like a cam and then a bunch of junkyard parts. I made my own throttle body adapter, like budget as budget could be. So I know if people are going to be strapped for cash, but they still kind of want to enjoy something to kind of keep their spirits up or kind of look forward to something throughout the season, definitely get good at spending a little bit and making the most of it. So you want to you probably want to get a tuner and be able to do that yourself. That's a big thing where people have to spend a lot of money if they're not able to do that themselves. So I would
Or
say
spend
for a couple $100, you'll learn a skill. It also gives you a scan tool. Like you can help out yourself or others around you with a scan tool because you now have HP tuners or something else. Yeah, like some things, and that's what we're going to talk about too. Some things you don't want to cheap out on. Other things, yeah, go get the Amazon version or the eBay version, and you just need the part. You need a basic part. But we'll go more into that when you get done with a couple more chats, probably.
Yeah. Just to piggyback on what you were saying too, that you got to be resourceful, and you gotta think smart when you buy parts too, because you don't want to say, let's say you buy a set of headers, right? Because you want to do a supercharged build, but then later on decide to want to do a turbo build. You knew you wanted to do the turbo build to begin with, so set the paces for yourself so you're not double spending. Because the money
Yeah,
you're spending on the supercharger stuff, you could have just put that towards the turbo build, but just being patient. So if you know you want to go turbo, don't buy headers. Get you a set of power logs, because power logs will benefit you on a turbo build, because that's what's used. I mean, get you a set of power logs, and then maybe get you an equalizer. You can get that because you can still use the power logs, but you can sell that and get you yeah, and you get you a turbo part. But just be smart about it. Don't double spend on stuff like that. Set a plan for yourself, what you want, and then just go through the bases. Like, okay, well, if I'm going turbo, then it's no use in me buying all the supercharger stuff. I'll just get like the minimum stuff just to get by. Like maybe just buy like a 3/4 pulley and get your power logs, and then just keep the car right there,
yeah,
and then start saving. Like get you an HP3 insert, get your L26 top end, or maybe you want to keep the M90 and just put a block off plate on the snow. I mean, you just got to make a decision on what you want to do and just go about it the smart way and save money, because you don't want to, like I said, you don't want to spend money on unnecessary things that's not going to be used on the build that you originally want to do.
yeah. You can think about it in phases, and understanding that if you're going to go to different phases on your way up to what you think your ultimate build might be, that could give you something to entertain you for a couple of years. I know with the projects I've got going on, I'm going to do them in phases. Start off supercharged, maybe switch over to a turbo setup, maybe go to a standalone computer, figure out how that works with it. Like all these things, and each of them comes with huge expenses depending on how I do it, and depending on if I change my mind halfway through.
Yeah.
So you never know. Like it's your pocket, it's your money. You can spend it how you want. We're just here, kind of trying to talk about what we've seen, what we've done, what we've tried to help other people to do. Because you can get you can get people who spend a lot of money real fast and don't go anywhere with it. So that's super important to try to get people. And you're not going to be able to stop everybody from spending crazy money. People will still. I had a guy, and if anybody from the old forum days, I won't even say which local chapter. That'll narrow it down too much. But there was a guy. He was spending all sorts of money with dealerships and trying to get like high end work done. This is back when these cars were still kind of new, so going to the dealership wasn't too weird. But when you're trying to upgrade and you're still spending like the highest level of service prices, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So wanting to figure out how to do it on a budget is super important, because there's times when you're going to have to spend money. Parts are going to be critical to get the right parts that do it properly and last. But there are definitely some ways to avoid having to like basically buy the Gucci version of everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna get the next person to join in.
Sure. I'll see you in a little while.
Yeah, we'll tap back in a second. All right. Next up, we got Jeremy. I know my boy Jeremy on the road on the truck right now. So if you can hop on the link that I sent you and join the live, I could try to send it to you again. I know he can't message or whatever. But Jeremy, I'll give you while he's getting set up. Jeremy has a this is for the LS4 guys. He has a highly modified LS4 that's turbo and has a 1480 swap done to it. And I know a lot of the homies in Texas and the LS4 people would appreciate this interview. So this is for you. So let me see what the hell Jeremy got going on and see if I can get him in the chat. I might have to add him again. Don't leave the chat because it might stop. I gotta send him a okay. Here goes Jeremy.
Yeah, what the hell you got going on, man?
Hey, all right. So this my boy Jeremy, man.
What's up, y'all?
The whole what the hell you got going on started with him, man. So yeah, I was telling the chat that you was a LS4 guy that's doing a lot of things. So tell us what the hell you got going on, bro.
Yeah, so pretty much a short version of the car. It's a 2007 GXP. I got the entire car built. K1 rods, King bearings, diamond pistons. Um, it's just a build that snowballed. It started with, oh, let's go put a cam in. And it's like, oh, your cam bearings are bad. And if we don't do cam bearings, we might as well do pistons and rods. And
Mm-hmm.
it just went from there. So it's a completely built LS4. I would say like a mild cam, not nothing too big. 1480 swap, custom turbo kit. My last turbo kit worked good, but 1480 I had to make some adjustments. So
What adjustments you had to do?
on the crossover had to be redone because of where the fill hole is for the transmission. The turbo was right on top of it. So we just modified everything and just got rid of the old turbo kit. We kept the manifold, kept the stock front manifold, used the truck passenger manifold for that. That was able to work. And we just built off of that. And from the turbo, it goes into the true bins 3-inch exhaust out into dual 6-inch tips. And man, that car got so much stuff done to it. It got MSD 2-step, B&M ratchet shifter, Corvette C6 steering wheel. It's just a lot of stuff. But
So what would you say? What would you say your goal is with the GXP?
700 wheel. If I get 7, well, I'm get 7. They can make 700 even. I'm not happy with 699. I have to see a 7.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 700 is the goal.
Yep, and you cover all the bases with the fuel system and
Oh
everything
yeah, I
else.
have the dual Hellcat 525 in tank pumps. Um, I swapped it over to a return style system. I have boost reference regulator. I got fuel injection clinic, 750cc injectors. So I got the second pump on the hop switch. So it's like 90, say about 96% ready.
Mm-hmm. I talked him into setting his two-step up like a
That's good.
what you call it, the we call it the goodbye button. So it's going
Yeah.
to be a rolling analog button. So there's a button on it. Go ahead and tell him about it, bro.
So on the B&M ratchet shifter, there's a button on the left hand side. So while I'm riding, if somebody wants to pull up and downshift, I just let off the gas, hit the button, and then put it to the floor. Then it builds up boost. It starts popping and banging. And when I let off that button, it's party time. So,
Yeah, yeah, yep.
so but yep. Man, Keaton talked me into doing so much stuff. I told him every time we talk, our wallets hate each other because we always end up spending money.
Man, every time.
But yep, it's stuff we need. Oh,
What
right
recommendation
now,
would you say for the LS4 community? Because you got a lot of experience with the LS4 than I do. So what would you have to tell them?
all right. So first thing, if you go on mod your LS4, first mod off the dump has to be an intake swap. It has to be. If you watch Richard Holden? If you watch his video, it was, I think, almost a 70 horsepower gain from the LS4 intake to the regular truck intake.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's the Trailblazer SS that makes more than that. There's the LS2 Dorman that makes more than that. So, first mod has to be you need some 50-pound truck injectors. You need a LS7 mass airflow sensor. You got to get it on and that intake. When I did mine, I did the fender well intake. I did the intake manifold. I did the 50-pound injectors. I did MSD wires. And I think it's called is it the BRIX7s? I forgot the spark plug name. But yeah, I did that. And honestly, when I did that, the older style Mustangs, I was giving them problems. Like they thought they could just pull up and rev their engine. It was a no go for them.
Mm-hmm.
But now, well, my last turbo setup, that was a problem for like Camaro SSs, like fit gens and all. Like I would just pat the gas on them. But now this new setup, I don't know. But if you go mod the LS4, engine wise, intake swap is a must. Transmission, you definitely want to do shift kits, transmission cooler. I would say the intake and the transmission cooler need to be put on at the same time.
Nope.
But yeah, bro, that right there. You'll be happy. You'll feel that power.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
well,
bro.
it's a stressful thing, but you just gotta just not give up on it, and you'll make it through. It's also a
Yes.
learning curve at the same time.
Don't be El Cheapo.
Yeah,
You can
there's no
you can
cheaping
cheap
out.
out on some things, You can cheap out on some things. And when I say some, it's a small window of which you can cheap out on. But if you going boost, don't cheap on your turbo, wastegate, blow off valve, your line, like your fittings. Don't cheap out on that. Cause man, you gonna like y'all were just saying, you gonna either spend it the first time being expensive, or you gonna spend it the 10th time being cheap.
Mm,
You gonna spend it regardless.
yep.
So you might as well just do it the first time.
Hey, Dave, I know you in the chat, so you got something you want to ask Jeremy before we end it with Jeremy.
Dave Dillon, the Bulldog Killer. I gotta
Hey,
watch Dave.
you damn right, Jason. If you want to play, you got to pay. All right. He got a question. He
Hell
said,
yeah.
did you break the 4265 before going 80? So tell him what was going on with that.
No. So I raced a 50 Mustang with a 10 speed, and I did like my car boost crept to like 10 pounds, and transmission fine. It's just the gave up. So if I drive, the car won't move. I have to get it up to like 1500 RPM, between 15 and 18, and then it'll move. It's shift perfect. No issues. The only time I ever messed up a 65E was when I went to the first time I only had that holding on. So I unscrewed cooler from the radiator, and then I put it back on. And when my coolant and my transmission fluid mixed and went into the transmission is over. Yeah, that's the only time to be my daily for like the 65E held up for me. And I
He losing signal. He on the road, so he'll break up. Jeremy, can you hear us?
oh, it's breaking up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Well, let me see if Dave got another question to ask you before we end it. Yeah, he said,
And one more thing,
what's going on?
everybody, one more thing. The 1480 swap is not hard. I keep seeing people saying it's hard, it's this, is that. It is not hard to do. If you have a grinder, you can do a 1480 swap in a day. It's nothing but shaving and bolting it up. That's all it is. If you have the torque converter that match your flywheel and you got a grinder, you can have it done in a day.
Why would you say that, bro?
Huh?
Why would you say that?
That it can be done in a day.
Yeah.
So when I did my 1480 in the garage, I took a grinder, I shaved it. It cleared. I took and made it the engine to the transmission, bolted the converter up. I had an engine hoist. I put it right on the subframe, right on some rollers, bolted it up, pushed it under the car, dropped the car down, bolted it up. Everything else was just looking like the ECU and everything back up.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I keep
Jeremy's got.
seeing guys like, man, it's hard.
You got to make a video about it, bro, on your YouTube channel. So, I'm gonna put it in the description. Link to your YouTube channel. Jeremy,
Okay.
he's just getting started, whatever, and then he'll put some videos out to help you guys out on the 80 swap and all that.
Yeah, whatever y'all need. This just ask me, and I definitely, cause I'm up all night anyway, so that'll give me something to do, and that I can answer y'all questions.
Yep. Well, all right,
So,
man. I'll
all
catch
right,
up with
man.
you
Well,
later, bro.
hell yeah, and y'all tune in to what the hell you got going on, and make sure whatever the hell you got going on is worth it.
Oh man. All right, bro. I'll holler at you later.
All right, bro.
All right. All right, that was Jeremy, man. I'm about to bring so don't hang up on the live. I'm about to bring Dave back on. So 1 second, folks. The live comes Mr. Dave. Ooh, what's going on, Mr. Dave?
Man, that guy is fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh man, Jeremy a character, man. But
he's got
yeah,
good
man,
energy.
yeah. Um, same with Jason. Jason, he a hell of a guy too. And I mean everybody. I mean, we all enjoy what we do, and we try to make the best of what we got. And
Yeah, maybe I'll take a swing at the 80 sometime soon. I know they'd get James off my back too because he's a big 80 stan.
oh yeah. But so what would you say your thoughts on um LS4 with the 80 turbo build? What would you say your thoughts about that would be?
Um, it's definitely something that is on the forefront of my mind, knowing that I have a turbo kit out here in the box. And one of the main things holding me back is I'm going to do the truck rear manifold like he's got. I've got one sitting over here on the floor. I pulled out of the U-pull last year. And then obviously I said I want to do heads and cam at the same time just because I'm going for it. Why not just go all the way? And we know the 65 is a ticking time bomb. And
Yeah.
I've got, you know, solid parts in my Buicks for the 3800, but I'm not even going to be able to build it to that level. So if I tried to build my spare LS4 transmission that came out of my car a couple years ago. So the 80 might be the way to go for me as well. Jason's asking about manifolds. I have an LS2 style manifold in mine. LS3, you could do the same thing. I did the ICT billet spacers so that I could do some vent, some coolant vent plumbing underneath it. So I could see doing the same thing with the cathedral to square port adapters from ICT. They're even cheaper for whatever reason. And yeah, you could probably put an LS3 manifold in there. You're using the same throttle body either way, that stock 90 millimeter, unless you try to go for a big one, but not really necessary. Um, yeah, there's tons of options with that platform. It's just obviously it's got that Achilles heel of the transverse transmission and
Mm-hmm.
all the headache that comes with that being packaged the way it is. The upgrades are all the same as any LS until you get to the front cover and the accessory routing. I know some people in the forums and the Facebook groups and stuff have some options coming around for that. A couple of guys are doing some good work chasing that down. But yeah, you're modding an aluminum 5.3. Some people are punching them out bigger. You got a bunch of guys doing that, making them 5.7s or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Especially down in Texas, man. Texas, they be doing some shenanigans out there. And I know my homies from Texas is watching right now too. Y'all be doing some crazy shit down there. Crazy shit. We coming down there too.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Down there.
I'll get inspired. I'll get inspired seeing some of those wild builds, and I'll be like, all right, I gotta have that part, or I gotta make me like some of these upgrades if I can fabricate them or buy them or build them or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and bring in Mr. James. Oh boy.
Woo! I'm gonna go get some
Oh, buddy.
popcorn. I'm gonna get popcorn.
Oh, buddy. What up, TJ? Oh, before I get into him, somebody asked what happened to Brandon. That's Ellis Fort King. He got some shit that he shouldn't have had going on. So I don't know what's going on with him. Nor do I even. We just gonna leave that alone. Somebody asked too about. Oh, this was in the beginning of the chat. I missed it. They was asking about where did I see it at?
Yeah, there was something.
They was asking about Hellboy, like about the build. Like, what the hell was it?
Let's see. I'm scrolling. When building a car like Hellboy, this is from Howard. What are some of the things to look out for?
Oh my God. You will break shit. For one, there's a lot of one-off customizing parts, so you gotta have plan Bs for like if something breaks. And you got to get a lot of hands-on because you're pretty much on your own, and you got to set the paces. Like Stevie axles, all that's all customized. So you're gonna have to get your hands dirty and know how to build your own CV axles. The jack shaft, you can't go buy that again. So luckily I got Ed Labar, shout out to him. He's been helping me with, redoing like the bolting. So we made everything in the studs now because studs is stronger than bolts, and we got better washers. And the whole intercooler setup is all customized. Like it's a lot of custom stuff, and then it's 5-speed. Everything is custom with that. So you gotta be hands-on savvy, and be willing to have a lot of patience and get your hands dirty.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you get to it.
All right, so we're gonna bring in James. So hold on for a second. Yeah, exactly, James, exactly. All right, let me get James in here. It's gonna stop for a second, so don't leave the chat. All right, here we go. James should be coming in. Oh shit, here we go. Oh no. Oh no.
Awesome.
What's up, James?
I put the zip tie right across my face. Go figure.
What's going on, man? Tell us what the hell you got going on, James.
What I ain't got going on. Long live the 4T80E. Down with the 4T65E. I've been working on my 68 F250 lately. I just got a 4-barrel for it. But that thing's like a Franken truck. It's basically a 68 F250 with 79 F350 disc brakes, suspension, and 89 F450 460 EFI with the ZF5 speed. So it's like the best of every Ford generation. So, but someday it'll run and drive. Someday.
So tell us about the old Regal.
Yeah, the Regal, that thing has broken my heart so many times. The thing's got 10s in it. And then number 11, it decided to
Leave the chat.
Sort of kiss and self-disassemble.
You tell us about this setup you got.
There's just no decent input shaft and sprocket support in the 4T65E. Dave Norris's Chuck Norris fist brace, it keeps the case from flexing. But the main issue is that, well, at GM Racing, they had a bunch of different input shaft solutions for this, where they basically increased the channel plate sleeve surface area and the diameter of the input shaft to try to keep it from pulling as far off center line. But basically, you're trying to twist the turbine shaft, the turbine, the sprag. You're trying to like drag the sprocket towards the driven sprocket. And if you have a slip and grip event, you get that chain whip, and it's all over. Your reluctor wheel either kiss. There's about a thread and a half of the 6mm channel plate bolts that tend to go into the chain case. So if anyone's putting their shit together, go ahead and grind off the area of the actual drive sprocket. Grind off a thread and a half of the bolts before you put it back together. You might find aluminum shavings in the pan one day, but at least your input shaft reluctor wheel won't kiss it, break the 3 welded bolts, and disassemble everything. But yeah, I'm done. I'm focusing on the 4T80. The Regal's just driving around on the 9-pound gate. I got the happy button just set to 16. But yeah, I let her sit for posterity. I want to make sure it's in mint condition for when I put the hammer on Dave.
I want to be there for that.
It'll be inevitable, Dave. Inevitable.
Dave said, "Tell the new folks about the 442."
This is like the worst idea 2 best friends could ever have. Is like 2 wallets equal 1 great car, but it's my best friend Al bought a '94 Cutlass Coupe, and well before it was paid off, we got a free 1990 Olds Toronado Trofeo, and we said, why not? Harry Hurst Olds was a thing, and we took the front of the Toronado and put it in the back of the Cutlass slowly in his father-in-law's driveway over the course of a summer. He drove it during the week, so we had every Sunday we had to get it together enough he could drive it. But we used fence posts, we used pipe tubing. The second iteration used a Jagster Cutlass cage, first gen W body cage. But now it's sitting on a full 25.3 chassis. The whole suspension is now short arm, long arm with knuckles, coilovers, conventional coilovers. Everything is built with trophy truck size hardware. Basically, it'd probably take a damn bit to disassemble anything or break anything. One of the main things I came across during all my years is the biggest issues were always with suspension deformation. And one of the biggest issues I had with the Regal, I'd almost have to pop the garage door for you to see it. It's just sitting in the driveway. Is tire wear. It's not so much you end up with the torque steer. Axle length does play a difference to it, but it's the fact that the McPherson strut setup flexes. GM tried to fix this with Bilstein with the GXP struts. what they ended up doing was increasing the diameter of the outer thrust surface of the shaft. Even though it was basically a strut upside down inside of this thrust sleeve, that increased the surface area and kept it from flexing as much, but you can't get those parts anymore. And so one of the things I noticed from several other cars is that they're wiping the seals on the struts when I'm swapping them out with a new one, and it's in a fore-aft direction. So brake torque and acceleration torque are just trying to constantly bend where the shaft goes into the strut. It's worse when you're accelerating hard because you lift, and now you have almost no overlap. So you're doubling the load on the upper bushing and seal on the strut. What I found with that was basically I dial in almost 1.5 degrees of toe in to 2 degrees. And when it's under hard acceleration, the thing tracks like a friggin' arrow.
Yep.
On
And
the top end, it seems a little bit twitchy, but you're not up at the top end for that long.
Yeah, you had me do that.
With the 3800.
You had me do that same trick on Hellboy, and it works.
All it takes is taking one of your tie rod ends, breaking the jam nut free, one turn out, tighten the jam nut one turn, and it's easy to reverse when you're done. Your steering wheel's just at a slight angle when you're going down the track. But it tells you exactly what you have to do. Some cars are more different. If you have the factory bushings, you're more compliant. It'll move more. You might have to go a little bit more positive. But if you're making custom control arm stuff and custom caster camber plates for the front and rear and spending as much time as I did trying to figure out why the hell the slicks were wearing as odd as they were, learn from my mistakes.
Hey, tell them about my pan that you did for me.
Oh, all right. And then we get into the windage and oiling mods. I try to harp on this. The 3800 shares many of the same issues as the 3.8 does. We just have a better oil pump. That's really about it. We have the same restriction to the main bearings past the cam bearing shells. It's actually kind of worse so because our bearings are bigger on the camshaft now. What it comes down to is there are weaknesses in a mass production engine. You tend to get rid of the ones that hurt you, especially if you're a decent, modded build. Number one, delete the oil filter bypass. It's usually in the neck. On almost any vehicle, it's in the oil filter adapter housing. These have been deleted since the dawn of racing. If you have trash, you tend to try to change your filter early. You cut your filter open and make sure nothing's inside, or you do oil analysis. You don't want to let trash get to those bearings. You'd want to be able to drain it, fill it, change the filter, and know that there's no more trash going through it. But the factory oil neck valve, it just opens too easy on cold starts, especially if you're running 1030 or thicker. People seem to run really thick oil in some builds. I'm just running 5W40, and the Regals had 4 psi hot oil pressure for like 6 years now. But your car has one of the things I figured out a while ago with oil windage. With us being mounted traversely, when you're accelerating, the oil's sloshing to the back of the pan and your crankshaft is spinning up towards the rear of the bank of the engine. Cylinder 4 gets drowned. There's really no other way to put it. If any of you out there are pulling your engine out, do not flip it upside down. Pop the pan, go ahead and pull the heads, and what you'll notice is that cylinder 4 will always be darker oilier than any other cylinder. If you ever pull the piston out, make sure you don't let the engine go upside down at all. Pull that piston out, you're going to find it's oil soaked all the way to the top compression ring. It's just bad. Oil control is something common on every engine. What we can do is we can modify the windage tray. We can open up the two end slots so that the full crank counterweight is able to sling oil down into the pan. A little bit of time with a Dremel, you'd knife edge it to help strip the oil and direct it away from the crank. And then the last thing you can do is a baffle right below cylinder 4 that tends to fill in that little area on the windage tray. Area is required because you have to be able to install the windage tray onto the pickup, over the pickup onto the block. But this basically fills that area and allows one last chance for oil to get redirected down to the pan instead of up onto cylinder 4. I don't end up with ash on cylinder 4 as much. There's never been any knock issues I've ever had on the Regal, and that thing's been as lean as nearly 13-to-1 at 26 psi. And that's why we just kept pushing it. And 29 psi, we spun the slicks at 105 miles an hour, and when the data log showed 109, the next cell was 106, and then we lost all transmission data, input shaft speed, ratio, and disappeared the very next line of data. And that was it for transmission number 11, which had essentially every GM Racing unicorn hard to find part you could have, including a 293 1-inch chain set. Those are difficult to find. So that chain had the least amount of leverage. That input shaft had the least amount of leverage on everything. And I thought maybe that would help keep it alive. It would be worse if it was like a 369 chain, because it would really want to rip the input shaft through the transmission. But oil control, get rid of the oil issues. Oil is bad in the cylinder. If you're doing anything turbo or supercharged, an external breather and deleting the PCV is really good, especially if you're going to a track day. Literally just pop a cap on the PCV valve, put the cover back on, put a breather in the valve cover with a sock over it to catch any oil mist, and let it run. Try to keep that oil out of the cylinders at the end of the run. As soon as you let off at the end of that track, you're sucking a whole bunch of oil into all the ports, plenum, cylinders. That oil vapor is great for upper cylinder lubrication and getting rid of contaminants in the crankcase, but it also coats your intercooler core and probably results in burst knock at points if you're rinsing it through the motor, through the port, into the cylinder once your injectors start really spraying fuel.
Yeah, I want to touch on that. I know when I rev Hellboy, if I do a couple pulls and I rev it up like 6,000 plus, I'd say I do like 3 pulls back to back. When I get home at idle, it'll start burning oil out the exhaust, but then it'll just clear up. It only does that when I rev it at a high speed for
the fun part, you can see where some intakes, if someone just throws a mod kit on like an NA with a turbo setup, I came across an interesting one. The whole lower intake needed to be changed, the gasket, but all of the pockets in the NA lower intake were full of oil. And so what was happening is when he was accelerating, it was like it was sloshing up in between the plastic insert and the aluminum. And so individual ports at the back of the engine would get glugs of this old PCV oil.
Yep.
I was wondering why we're getting oily plugs on the back bank, and we ended up doing this lower intake manifold gasket, I want to say like 2 months later. And we fixed that, and suddenly no more plug issues. Burning oil's no good. Definitely no good, but get it out of the cylinders. What was some of the other stuff on my insane list here? Don't flip your engines upside down. When you pull it out, keep it right side up, disassemble, clean. If you're tearing everything out, including lifters, take a look inside the main oil galleys. Grab a Q-tip, just drag it back, and look at all the black crap you're going to see on there. I believe when you end up like flipping the engine on your engine stand, you may be basically disturbing that stuff, allowing it to disperse. And then as soon as you start it up, it rinses it towards bearings. And it's not that it'll cause a spun bearing, it's that those particles cause wear, which increase clearances, which means less load capacity when you are beating the hell out of it. Roll-lock pads. Keep these away from your engines. The abrasive Scotch-Brite looking pads and the bristle ones. Don't let them go near one of your engine parts unless that part is going in a tote full of gasoline or diesel, getting scrubbed, brake cleaned. You're gonna cause cancer if you live in California type stuff. Those abrasives destroy engines, and almost every manufacturer has a technical service bulletin disallowing the use of these components on internal engine parts. The abrasives come free, they go elsewhere, but the number one issue is they leave millions of little scratches, low spots, high spots, these create leak paths. And one issue I came across early on with the Series 2, and to an extent, the later 3100, 3400s, is the dynamic O-ring gaskets, the rubber O-ring gaskets. If the surface isn't smooth enough, it will draw coolant through those scratches and burn it. So you'll end up where you'll do a lower intake manifold gasket, and suddenly you're still losing coolant, but you don't know where it's going. If you use those roll-lock pads, chances are you kind of shot yourself in the foot. Buy a brand new pack of 100 brand new made in the USA razor blades, single edge blades from Menards, a good quality holder. Use each one for 30 seconds. As soon as you feel it nick, throw it away, grab another one. A clean gasket surface on the head or intake or block will look dirty. It'll look stained. But when you look at the reflection of the light across the surface, you won't see any of the graphite on it. That's the surface you want to go with. Shiny, scratched metal does not a good sealing surface make. A rough machined factory mass produced surface with factory graphite material nicely embossed in pores of the iron is a really good surface. So as long as you're cleaning it with a nice clean razor blade, start away from all the edges and do the edges last once the blade has been used for 30 60 seconds of scraping, and then toss it out. Once
Dave,
it's
got a question.
nicked, once you start seeing it scratched, throw that thing away. What other things? Whipples.
Dave asks, are you running upgraded short blocks or just clean L32 and L67?
Basically just clean L32s, L67s. The Whippled Riv was a Morad, one of the 17,000 mile L32s from that. I believe it was like a train car that got wrecked, and a bunch of L32s fell into Morad's lap. And this was one of those engines with 17,000 miles. I completely blew it apart. We drilled the mains over, step drilled the mains, just like they do on the old 3.8s. I did every mod they do on the old 3.8s on that thing, including the windage, and we beat the hell out of it with a Whipple setup. I mean, beat the heck out of it. Lean until we got the Weldon pump, and then the 160-pound injectors, the low impedance injector driver to drive them. And we had a stock 4T80E that handled 25,000 miles of straight abuse, and it came out of like 140,000 mile Aurora. We grabbed another one from, I want to say, 100-some thousand mile like DeVille. We threw the Aurora converter in it and beat the hell out of that for another 20-some thousand miles. We're talking 22 psi Whipple setup with no one cares 373 final drive ratio, driving around with 295 Mickey Thompsons on, early Grand Prix cross laces. That car was absolutely dumb, but it was such a blast. We abused the hell out of it. Once that transmission broke, which actually broke because we pulled it apart and I welded the differential. Not the best idea. It broke the stub shaft on the right axle. We still drove it around the block, but it was one-wheel drive. The third transmission was a 40,000-mile Cadillac one, and that had, I want to say, almost 2 years, 3 years, about 35,000 miles. He drove this car everywhere. He was a traveling salesman. He had the Cavalier when the Riv broke down, and he had the Riv all the time. But the car burned down on the side of 294 because when your fuel rail bolts vibrate loose over the time and you don't really check anything, you just add gas and check oil. The Weldon pump ended up eventually popping the rails off and emptying 13 gallons of E85 on the engine as he was slowing down from about 85 miles an hour. The car cooked, but I ended up with the Whipple setup and the rest of it, and now everything's going on to the 442.
I guess that answers Zing, because
442 is, what was that?
Zing was just asking what was your plans with the Whipple.
Yeah, it's 2 Whipple setups. Right now I'm basically restoring the animal kit. It's almost nothing of the original animal kit exists except the base plate. I had to re-engineer a snout setup because you cannot get the earlier style 6 5/16 snout, which is the snout that Animal used. Criminy, I can't remember his name that had the Animal kit that released it, but I mean, this was back in Mr. Hat had his setup, and then I think he sold. There were a few setups out there before it got to the later generation ones, and then the ones that PRJ helped with. But it's going on the rear of the olds. We have the single pass intercooler core. I have a 3.125 pulley for it. The other Whipple will be going on the front, but I'll be getting an 8-inch snout, and I'll be engineering a new plate to set the blower back so that the discharge outlet is now centered, actually slightly offset to the driver's side of the intercooler core. Because the air leaving the Whipples, even though it's an axial blower, it's leaving radially. So you end up still with this degree angle discharge. And I have kind of my diverter tongue on the modified intercooler core to try to get that air to spread evenly over the core. But what the Pro Fuel guys do is they take those big 1471 and bigger Superman blowers and they literally move it all the way back so that it is pulling all the air and blowing it into the middle of the engine and they just end up with the long blower drive. I figured from my measurements, 2 inches should get it about right, and we'll have the best blower outlet distribution. And who knows, maybe we'll throw another intercooler core on it. But right now, the rear stack height for the intercooler is at 6 inches. So the Whipple sits up kind of high. But the 442 is 2 4T80E, L67 in the front, and L26 in the rear. The rear engine has a bunch of windage mods and oil stripping mods. I tried to basically use the timing area as a way to mainline oil back down to the crankshaft without having it drain through the block up top. I actually have in the valley at the drain back holes, so the oil is forced to fill up and then drain through the balance shaft hole through the timing cover. Way I figure it is it should keep the chain setup fully lubricated. Hopefully those of you out there are measuring and making sure that your cam and crank sprockets are actually lined up. Make sure your crank sprocket isn't hitting on the register of the crankshaft. The Australian setups are slightly different from ours. I don't know why. It is what it is. But make sure. I've heard some people say that ZZP and Rollmaster have corrected this on newer setups, but check it. Make sure the distance from the block face is the same on both those faces. And all that takes is a cheap Harbor Freight dial indicator mag base. Set it up on the crank gear face to the block face, set it to 0, unclamp it, move it over the cam gear, clamp it. If you're within 10, 15 thousandths, run it. But unfortunately, I found them off more than 30. So cam motion cams tend to be less, about 28 thousandths, whereas the comp cams tend to be up to 31 thousandths. It's just slight differences in their manufacturing tolerance or batch tolerances. Who knows? Every batch of machined parts has a few thousandths difference. This stuff stacks up. And if your crank sprocket isn't fully on the register, you're now having your balancer is now out of line with your normal true belt alignment. And now suddenly you're wondering why your belt seems to jump, or you have this odd wear on one side of the ribs. Lord knows, I mean, I've seen what happens when people miss the keyway when they tighten down the crankshaft balancer. Other thing, rear covers. If you are doing anything to your engine, you have the chance to pull it out, go ahead and remove the rear cover. Even the new ones, 05 and newer, with these fancy aluminum dynamic O-ring silicone gaskets, crush and deform. Oh, that doesn't show real well. And start to split the silicone. The paper gaskets are just as bad, if not worse. But I am at the point where half of the time I pull it apart, it's either already leaking or the paper is split to the point it's about to start leaking coolant into the oil, or oil into the coolant, or coolant into the crankcase. The paper gaskets, they split, scrape them, replace them, tighten it, let it set. Come back to it after 30 minutes, re-snug it, then leave it. Don't forget to re-snug it after it's set. Paper gaskets, they tend to compress slowly, especially if you use something like I do, Super 300 aviation sealer, the brush-on type sealers like your Hylamar and that. It tends to soak into the paper, into the cellulose. So just like in the old days with carburetors, assemble it, torque it, have a smoke break, come back to it, check and make sure it hasn't relaxed on you. Chances are it's relaxed. This used to be an issue with some supercharger setups, especially guys that would cut the lower intake for an intercooler a little bit close to the edge, and then they'd get that reed sound because they got a vacuum leak.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But rear covers, if you have a chance and you're doing a cam or whatnot, pull this bugger off. When you pull it off, these holes here, those are your main oil galleys. Hopefully you haven't flipped your engine upside down. Here's where you're going to take that little Q-tip, stick it in there, and drag backwards and take a look at all the crud that seems to accumulate. And you'll be happy you didn't flip the engine upside down just to remove the oil pan. It's not difficult to remove the oil pan with it right side up. I
All
don't know
great
what other
info.
insanity do I have to cover before
We
my
gotta
15
cut.
minutes.
You already passed the 15. We gotta
I have, I
cut
know.
there.
All right. PCV breather venting. I've covered everything. Breather, yep. Oh, pump alignment. When you're reassembling your timing covers, if you're reusing a timing cover, make sure that the alignment pins, try to put the cover exactly back the way it was when you removed it. One thing I've come across is the oil pump scroll wears into the cover. And if you don't end up putting the cover as close back to the original position, it will slowly wear into a new position and your oil pressure will drop slowly over time. And I've come across this a few times. I now no longer reuse a cover more than 2 times. And I'm starting to think I might buy all the factory new overstock, whatever. They'll be worth gold in a few years. This is very similar to the pump issue that's experienced on the 3.8, but then I repeat myself. We have some of the same issues. Fix them, your engine lives a lot longer. You can beat the heck out of it. There's like $3,000 in that Regal's engine, and there was like 17 grand in the transmission, and it still never went faster than 1133 and 129. So, but one of these days, Dave, once it has the 4T80E, you, my friend, you're gonna lose that game of bingo, buddy.
Oh shit. All
You
right,
have a good
James.
one.
Yeah, take
Take
care.
it easy,
Thanks for all the
guys.
good info.
Sorry for blathering, but like I wanted to share my brain drippings. Was it brain droppings, as Carlin
Brain.
would put it, right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah, I'm
right.
sure
You
everybody
guys have a good
appreciate it,
night.
man. All right, be easy,
All right.
brother.
So you disconnect me then?
Yeah.
All right. Later, bud.
Later. Yeah, James, he a wild one. I hope you guys enjoy him. He got a lot of information, and the dude's been helping me out a lot with especially when I got Hellboy's engine done. Here comes Mr. Dave. He gave a lot of info of me getting Hellboy right, and I appreciate that. What's
Let
going
me
on,
back
Mr.
in
Dave?
this damn chat. What the hell is he talking about?
Oh my goodness, man. He put a lot of good info out there, man. A lot of valuable information. And he's
Yeah.
on your neck. He's on your neck.
He's got a great car that they put together years and years ago. It's one of the ones that I know as far as like if we're trying to see who's got the fastest W body Regal 3800 Series 2 or 3 style engine out there, like he's one of the ones right there. Those things that he built a monster with that thing, and you know if I'm like I said before, if I'm gonna try and compete, I want to compete with the guys that put the best stuff together, and you know James has been putting good stuff together for a long time.
Yeah, it's when it comes to Regals, it's 3 of you guys that I can vouch for, and that's you, Dave, or you, James, and Nick Show, the sleepers guy. Like
Yeah,
he's on the 80 with his Regal. That Regal runs. I mean, yeah, I mean, big respect to him for that.
yeah. Like, you can't be of the faint of heart if you're trying to go with this low 11s and 10-second club. Like
Yep.
you're serious if you're going that fast, and especially in W body trim still. Like there's
Yep.
only been a dozen or so folks that have gone that hard in these things. So it's hard, but it's fun. And usually when people are all doing it at the same time, it's like the old days where you end up sharing notes because, you know, it's too small of a club to keep anybody out, really.
Yep. Well, let's see. Another thing we need to talk about. I don't think JPL's in the chat, so I don't think we'll be able to interview him. But
Okay.
he never responded in the comments, so I don't think he can get in. So this is what we're gonna do. As long as this, you know, as everybody wants to, enjoy the podcast and stuff like that, we'll keep it going, and we're gonna interview everybody that we can. Just to get a chance to put themselves out there, keep the community alive and stuff like that. So I have to come up with a way to well, maybe me and Dave will just randomly pick people in the comic section on the next episode of, you know, who to bring in and stuff like that. But we want to get everybody a chance to, you know, tell us what the hell they got going on. But yeah, so let's talk about the cheapest sources of things, Mr. Dave. So
Yeah. So for those who haven't gotten the memo, Rock Auto is really pretty much the cheapest place you can get stuff. Now, they have different tiers of parts they sell, right? You can go all the way to the most, and I use Panda Bear quality as my code for China, but they have various levels of, you know, imported parts, and then all the way up through like Timken bearings or whatever else you want that is kind of more name brand, AC Delco or Motorcraft if you're buying Ford stuff, whatever. So Rock Auto, I got put onto them years and years ago, and even if you want to use them as a resource to search stuff, you can look for part numbers, and then if you don't have the time to wait, you can find the part number there and then bounce over to your. I got O'Reilly's sign up there. You go O'Reilly's, Napa, AutoZone, Advance, whoever is your closest shop. But you can get all the part numbers you need. Another one that goes cheap is eBay, right? You got to be careful. They got some junk there, but you know, there's no reason not to buy some inexpensive parts there. And then don't discount your local hardware store. Fasteners, right? You go down the aisle of an Ace Hardware or of a Lowe's or Home Depot, you can get some nuts and bolts if you know the size, the thread, and the length of the bolt you need. You can make a car look good, honestly, by going to Ace Hardware with a shopping list and going down their nuts and bolts aisle and replacing all those junk painted bolts in your engine bay. I did this with a buddy on his LS1 Camaro one time. We went through his entire engine bay, pulled every single bolt out, measured them. Oh, that's a 30 millimeter M10 by 1.5. That's a whatever. And we went and spent an hour going up and down the aisle. And, you know, it's not only is it good for, oh, I need a new bolt for this because it snapped or I lost it. It's also, you can make shit look good. So, yeah, eBay and Amazon, I mean, use sparingly, but obviously if it's a necessity, go for it. Sometimes it's AC Delco has a store that I bought a LS7 MAF off of Amazon for $50, right? As long as it's, you know, it all works out, then go for it. But you don't have to go just like, oh, ZZP's our only vendor in the market. Like if you're there and the price is similar to what you'd spend elsewhere, yeah, add some nuts and bolts or some hardware, gaskets, whatever to your cart. But if you're trying to go as inexpensive as possible, definitely shop around, use the whole internet, not just the little snippet of internet that you see looking in the 3800 world or in the LS4 world or whatever, because those guys are most likely repurposing stuff from elsewhere. So use the whole internet because it's worth it.
Yep. Also, I think I heard you say about Marketplace, like the 3800 Marketplace and the W body pages. You got to watch for scammers though, but that goes with the cost of anything. But usually, you'll find, good sellers and you'll get a deal on parts. And you get the ones where they'll buy all the parts to do a build and then plans will change and then they decide not to do the build. So you can get all brand new parts, the same parts that you need at a better price of what you would pay buying brand new. And I know me, like my intercoolers, I've never bought an actual intercooler kit. I'll always piece mine together. Like I'll buy an intercooler core for like $250. I'll go to the hardware store and buy my line like this. Y'all seen that in Carnage and Sindel, the see-through 3/8 holes. I'll get a roll of that for like, I think like $25. I buy a Viramax pump. Now the Viramax pumps, they going for like almost $400 now if you can find one. But I run a Viramax pump and get all the barb hoses and O-ring clamps. I get all that at the hardware store, and I have like maybe not even 600. Well, I have a little bit over $600, if that, in the intercooler. It's just like you say, you just gotta resource your parts.
Yeah. I use when I'm using a water intercooler nowadays, I get the clear PVC hose that has the spiral reinforcement
Spirals in it, yeah. Yep.
It's expensive, but not as expensive as buying a whole kit. You're still only spending, a couple bucks a foot, and then you just get a 25-foot roll of it or whatever from Amazon, or if the hardware store has it or whatever. Speaking of Harbor Freight, like they are not sleeping on how they make their tools anymore. I think they've sourced, basically the same manufacturers around China and there's YouTube videos galore, like the Den of Tools and all these guys talking about Harbor Freight quality nowadays. But yeah, get a good tool set. Like obviously we've gone a little above and beyond, as we outfit our stuff. I know James has basically everything under the sun going on for his fabrication, but even if you just start with a basic, like $300 toolkit that has wrenches and sockets and pliers and some screwdrivers and stuff. And I bought an extra one just to go to the junkyard with. It cost me $150 to get a Cobalt like Lowe's kit with like 300 tools, and then supplement it with like a little Stanley wrench and ratchet and whatever, or wrench and pliers kit. So if you have the tools to work on your stuff, and you can also bring it to the junkyard, get the parts you need from the junkyard. If you need sensors, like I suggest staying as OEM as possible with sensors and ignition parts, because you start getting aftermarket and you're introducing less tested quality control.
Yep.
So as close to OEM as you can stay. And the best way is to get them off cars that were running until grandma smashed into the reindeer or whatever.
Yep. Well, let's see. The next would be where not to go cheap on.
Ooh.
So
yeah.
I would say do not go cheap on your fuel system. Do not. And don't go cheap on the MAP sensor, because those two things will definitely hinder the main part of the build, which is the tune. If you got a cheap China brand MAP sensor, it'll read right during idle and stuff, but then as soon as you get in the RPMs, it'll hit a wall, and then you can't do nothing. So don't cheap out on that. Fuel injectors, if you run cheap fuel injectors, like some that's another can of worms right there.
Yeah, it's Russian.
Yep. And then, like he said, with the coil packs. Another thing, what, Dave, I learned about with the coil packs that I didn't know about is the NAs and the superchargers. I guess the NAs, the backs are gray, and the supercharged ones are blue. I just noticed that. So, like the first time when I did the top swap on the pill machine, I was going to reuse the coil packs off of them, and then I forgot who it was that told me about that. I pulled the coil packs off, and the coil pack was gray. and I had the coil packs. I got one right here. So this one right here, that's a blue one. That's a supercharged coil pack. And see if I got a damn. I don't think I got a damn coil pack, Mr. Dave.
Do I need to get up?
Yeah, you might need to get up. We gotta show the people. We gotta show the people what the hell we got going on.
Ooh.
Thought I had a box of NA coil packs. Hold on, folks.
We're doing some things.
I swear I got all these 3800 parts and no damn coil packs.
How you got all them teeth and no toothbrush?
Yeah, man. What the fuck?
Like an alligator. Get some good
Yeah,
water boy gold.
I don't think I got a supercharged coil pack, but I don't think I got an NA.
I don't know if I have any NAs. I think I'm pulling these off a Bonneville bracket that I got off a supercharged body.
This is a wait a minute. Here's the NA, but the coil packs are on. I'm gonna take that off. But anyway, just so you guys will know,
I got a gray here.
there you go. So that's the NA coil pack he got in his hand right there. The deck probably came off Euro 26.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I think I pulled this off of one of my N8 spare engines or something.
Yeah. So supercharged coil packs. Supercharged coil packs are blue. NA, Mr. Dave. Hold that up.
Oh,
Gray.
I just told you.
About blue and gray. It's a little thing I learned. But so if you ever have a coil pack issue, if you're supercharged, try to find a coil pack with a blue bag. They're like that from the factory for a reason. So I can't give you an explanation on that. But
yeah. I think one of the other things is some upgrades are not necessarily from traditional sources, right? Because we talk about different cars in the junkyard have parts that we want to swap in that can help out, right? Or like when you just go and buy the fuel or the oil filter for the Blazer instead of the 3800, or things like that. Like just little things that help you out. Making sure you're running good vacuum fittings, making sure that they're flexible still, because stuff like that can just send you down a bad path if they're broken. So that's where like going to the junkyard to try to get replacements probably won't work out, because that stuff's probably old and crusty as well.
We gotta put some LS4 stuff up there too. We talking a lot of 3800.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what LS4 fun I've had lately, but
from what I saw, I don't have a lot of info for LS4 stuff. I just go by from what I've seen from experience, and that's the intake. The intakes, the stock intakes are garbage. The DOD is a must. And
quick,
a lot of people
if
run
you want to get rid of it real quick and dirty, you can just unplug that oil sensor right behind the throttle body. That's your oil pressure sender. You'll get a check engine light. But if you're just like really trying to kill DOD and you don't care about anything else, obviously your oil pressure sensor is now non-existent. But until you want to relocate it down where the oil pan has that panel that you can swap in, that's what I did last year, was move it down below. But and then programmed out the DOD. But yeah, so that's a quick, dirty way you can get rid of it. I was having issues with like every time I'd go on an on-ramp in Florida, because Florida's dead flat, but then I-95 would be going up and over, and every time my car would kick down to accelerate up a hill, it would just blow some smoke. My buddy's like, "What the hell is that?" And it's just, the DOD system just getting a bunch of oil in there and being mad. So I deleted DOD even before I programmed it out. Now, like, I still have the lifter tick when it fires up, so might as well, while I'm in there fixing that, put an upgraded cam in. You know what I mean? So at some point, I'm either gonna do the 550 lift Texas speed cams, which is like the Chupacabra or the Brian Tooley Truck Norris, or I'm gonna go for the 600 lift cams, depending on how I feel, how hard I want to go. I think if I do heads, I'll go for the 600 lift. If I do stock heads still, I'll probably go for the 550 lift, like mid-range cam.
Jeremy said you trying to build the bulldog killer.
Yeah. I mean, if I have to go for that, maybe I'll just go heads and cam both, and then go full like 600 lift or 600 something lift, and get some like PRC. Just send them my LS6 heads that come on these things, which is nice. You got a good set of heads that they start with. They all usually come in 243 heads. I don't know if the newer ones came with anything else, but my 06 came with that. And then it's super nice in the LS world. Like $1,000, you can send your heads out and get a CNC port, right? We have nothing like that. We have, maybe that shop that somebody saw is doing $500 port jobs, but who knows? So, what else on the LS4? I love how easy it was to dial it in with the new throttle. Like, I barely adjusted the tune. I think I had to change the map like 15% when I put the LS7 in a 4-inch tube, and then I followed what 91 Pork Ave and somebody else had on the forums way back when, and it was pretty straightforward for rewiring everything. It was pretty good. I think I had to shave the side of my power steering pump just to fit the back side of the intake, and that was about it. And chop off that extra junk on the alternator bracket, which was good weight reduction. That was probably like 3-4 pounds of cast aluminum that's there for no good reason. It's like
don't they got a problem with the power steering pumps with those too, and on the tensioners?
The tensioners are garbage. Yeah. So they have this big goofy spring, and it's like a weird setup. So when you're doing your belt changes, you just get a really big, or put 2 worm clamps together to like slowly squeeze it down. That's how I've been changing belts forever. But because I just figured out how from the factory they would use like the normal these belt tensioner tools. There's a way to worm that thing in there, but don't worry about it. Just do that that clamp trick.
I think somebody in the LS4 page came out with I think they used a C7 tensioner, I believe.
Yeah, there's like a DO6 or something tensioner they started trying to use. So yeah, I might try and get a hold of one. I don't know if it changes belt size and stuff too or not, but if it's something that's going to be out there, because there's 0 replacement parts for those right now. You either have to buy an aftermarket one that may or may not keep getting produced, or try and get a hold of something that's meant for either Corvettes or trucks that works in our situation. So, yeah. One of the other things, so like doing some research before buying, you basically, if you hop on Google, you see answers on forums, or you see something from a vendor, you can kind of use the vendor info even when they're talking about replace X, Y, and Z with these parts. You may or may not get the part numbers out of them, because they might just say, oh, it's this gasket. It might not tell you what the part number for that gasket is, but you could go back to Rock Auto, look for the part number. You can go on the GM dealer sites. Like there used to be GM Parts Direct, GM Parts Warehouse, all these places you can kind of work your way through, navigate through, and figure out what part numbers are. I'll give you guys. I don't know who made this site, but I sent it to Terrell. It's gm.saturn.team. It has service manuals for like all the 90s through 2009 cars. I think like some Saturn forum guy or something made it. So I don't know the background of how they made it, but it works just like the old one that we used to have when we would sail the high seas, and that went up to like 05. And then this one carries out a little further to 09. So it covers basically all the cars we all play with for the most part. All the 3800 and all the LS4 cars. So I'll reference that if I need to hit a torque spec that I haven't hit in a while, or I'm like working on a body part, because I know how the engine parts come apart and go back together. But if I'm trying to fix something on the interior, on the exterior of the car, I don't pull that stuff apart that much. So gm.saturn.team, and you can basically have a GM service manual. So hopefully we're a small enough community that somebody's not going to blow our doors in on that and screw that guy over, whoever's hosting that. But I trust the handful of folks in here to not do anything but use that responsibly. But yeah, service manuals are clutch.
Let's get one more person in here. We couldn't get JPL in here, so we're gonna do a random in the comic section. So let's see. I gotta make it juicy. I'm gonna say the first person to guess. Let's give a trivia question. See, what can we do here? What's
the most boost you've run on Hellboy so far?
Yeah. guess my boost, and you can hop on the live. So first person to guess what was the highest amount of boosts I pushed on Hellboy.
You're gonna have repeat offenders here soon.
Yeah. Hope not 23.
What was the pulley sizes you've been using on it?
On the Navi setup?
Yeah.
I started out on the 2.8. Now it's on the 2.6. It's been that the whole. It came with it had a 3.5 pulley when I bought the kit, and I was like, hell no. So anybody, it's free to answer. Anybody can answer.
You gotta tell them been reading it on the gauge.
Yeah, 14 said no, it ain't 14.7. No, I had it on the external boost gauge to measure boost.
But and this is with the 2000 setup you got on there now?
Yeah.
And that's been the highest you've ran?
Huh?
Current. And it's currently at the highest you've run it at?
Yeah. He said I didn't specify. You got me on this question. All right, we'll ask a different question because it is kind of tricky for everybody.
All right. Give away the answer before they keep guessing that.
26 pounds at 7,000 RPMs. Zach Park Avenue almost had it. He said 27. It's 26 pounds at 7,000 RPMs. I'm spinning the blower at 55,750 RPMs at 7,000 RPMs. So it's pretty much almost at its max efficiency. Well, that was like the whole plan of it took a lot of math to get it to math. To have it planned to be that way, because with the new impeller that's on it, it can handle the 55,800 RPMs safely. So it's still efficient. So what's to say? What's the lift of net cam? No, that ain't fair for LS4 guys. Anywhere from 1 to 20. That's let's see.
They're gonna dummy body put. Like
what year? What year was the last? Okay, what was the last year of the 6th gen coupes?
I know that one.
You gotta be and that's why I don't play Jeopardy.
Yeah, you didn't start with a question.
Yeah,
What is 1 to 20?
Zach got it. Zach
Oh man,
Park Avenue.
he was
He got
close
it.
on the last one
2002.
too.
All right, let's get Zach.
Is he game the
Zach,
party?
yeah, Zach's on here, so I'm gonna get Zach on up in here, Mr. Dave.
All right, I'm bugging out.
All right. All right, I got to see how to get Zach in here. Let's see, how can I get you in here? Zach, send me a message on my Facebook if you're on my Facebook. Yeah, get Zach in here. Zach won that. What's up, Black Venom? Is Zach on my Facebook? I can't really get out of here, so you gotta send me a PM. I'm gonna try to be more organized with this next time. This is something new I'm trying out. I'm trying to have a good time with it. Oh, he can't get in it. All right, let's see. Maybe next time, Zach. Maybe next time. All right, come on back in, Mr. Dave. You gotta see if we can get Dave back in here. All right, here's Dave. All right. Yeah, he was at work. He couldn't get in.
No problem. I threw a question out to the people. What sites are people going to? Like I was talking about, getting around the internet, seeing where you're buying parts. You going to
Yeah, what?
LS vendors or Summit and Jegs or who?
While we waiting for the people to comment, I know I've been getting stuff from Summit. Like I'll get like AN fittings or exhaust parts, AN lines, fluids. I'll get all that stuff from Summit, and then I get a lot of stuff from Marketplace,
Yeah.
ZZP, Rock Auto for like the OEM stuff. I'll go to Rock Auto for that. eBay is like my best friend. Amazon, that's usually where I go. Yeah, it's a lot of Jeremy saying eBay. Gas Power Garage, he said he used ZZP, eBay, and local junkyards. Hey, Gas Power Garage did a good video on a budget turbo build.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was a good video. It was a lot of good stuff he put in that video. So he's in the chat, he's in the chat. So check his YouTube out. Check that video out.
Yeah, Speedway Motors. They're over here in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Forgot about them. Yep, Speedway. Racetronics.
Yep. I got my 80-pound injectors from them 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm buying my whole Teflon PTFE AN8 setup from them probably this week.
Yep. Jason said Terrell is eBay YouTube certified mechanic. Yes, sir.
The Bonneville.
Yeah, Black Venom, he got a highly modified Bonneville.
Yeah.
He went crazy on. And I think he's running. I don't know. Hey, Venom, you still running the? I think he's running an 10 stage 2 cam in that car. And that's an
For super
oddball
cam?
cam that a lot of people really don't. They didn't run that cam. It was
Yeah,
one
I
of
had a
those
buddy
cams
with that.
like because of the recommended mods for that cam. Like you could either just go ahead and just get an IS3 at
Yeah,
that point.
it's just bigger than an XP by just a touch to the point where you have to get your heads worked to get the guides shaved down to be
Yeah.
safe. And at that point, it's like I'm doing head work. Why not just go all out? So
Yep, it was
it
one
kind
of
of
them
fell in
cams.
that middle point there.
Yeah, he got the IS2 cam for the stage 2.
I mean, it was good. I had a buddy with one in Minnesota years and years ago, and you know, it was a good cam. It chopped pretty good for a nice little idle sound, and he had ported heads with it, so it did the job.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
he's on 1.7s right now.
Yeah, I bet it's a fun car. So you just got to deal with the troubles of being in an H body, which good thing is he doesn't really need a belt wrap kit.
Yeah,
I love Bonneville brackets, that's for sure. So
that's what. Who in here is from Texas? I want to talk to somebody out there from Texas. Why did my light just come on? My light just randomly just came on.
Oh, it's a ghost.
What the hell we got going on over here? Let's see. We got blower 3800 still auto. Forgiven. Since the success of the budget turbo video, I'm in the works of making a video about budget friendly Navi setups for 3000s and newer 35 and 30. Hey, we look forward to that, man. Good luck with that video. I'll be definitely tuned in.
Those poor 60-degree V6 guys.
Yeah.
They always had high hopes.
You know, there's I know one that stays by me. I did a video on his car. He's got a turbo Grand Am. I did a video review on his car on my channel.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine. He got a he turned his 34, I think, into a 35. It's cammed. He's got a turbo and he's got a G6 manual 5-speed in it. I got called out on the 3800 page by one of the people from his groups, and the way it was, the way he went about it was just like not the move. I wasn't on that. He could have just PM'd me that. Yeah, you ain't have to do all that because it was. I don't want to go on here and rant about it, but it was just it went about it the wrong way, and that's not how I get out. And it ain't nothing about being a chicken or anything about that. It's being mature about the situation, and that wasn't it. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, Gas Power, we'll look forward to that video. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna message you if you need any info about, because I see that you wanted to talk about the Navi. So if it's like anything I can help contribute to that video, I'll do so. So just hit me up and we'll get that lined up for you. See what we got. We got census. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. I'm out of words right now, Mr. Dave.
Yeah.
I'm out of words.
Let's see. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered what we planned on talking about. We'll come out with different ideas for next week if people have suggestions. If we want to talk about, like, because we gotta gauge where people are at. We got some people with some pretty advanced builds that are checking in that, you know, would rather talk about the more high-end stuff and all the customizing that we do at our level. But then I think there's still an audience out there for just the basics, like guys that need to just save money on doing basic maintenance and initial upgrades and mods and stuff like that. So
yeah, we'll go over stuff like that next week, like break upgrades and stuff like that. And we got to figure out a way to. We want to do at least 4 interviews per episode from here on out, and we only got 3 today. But we'll figure out a way to get to interview you guys and stuff like that. So if you didn't get to get interviewed this time, don't feel left out. We'll get you. But yeah, me and Dave will jot down some stuff to talk about for next week. And I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast of what the hell you got going on.
Season is beginning. Get out there.
Yeah. Yep. And also the weekend of May 3rd is going to be Dave will be here. So that Sunday podcast, Dave will actually be here with me for that.
Are we done? I gotta go work on something so I can be ready.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and end the live right here. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 2 of what the hell you got going on. And we will catch you on the next episode. So y'all take care. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks for letting me stop by.
All right, man. Be easy, Mr. Dave. All right, everybody.